Okay, well, I did everything I could to try and stop the plea bargain. I got a hold of all our government politicians. I tried the media. I tried everybody to stop this plea bargain, and it was like they weren't allowed to speak to me. Nobody was allowed to speak to me. So they got their own way. The Crown, Kathleen Livingston, and the homicide detectives and Hamilton Metro Police that didn't go down with it, help my son. They got a plea bargain done. I couldn't stop it, no matter how hard I tried. So, here goes. Back to court, March 9th. We got to the courthouse, went to the victim services, 9:45, then went to the courtroom on the 6th floor. When we got there, we went to a small room just off the courtroom for victims again, like we have done so many times before. Kathleen, the Crown, came in. She told us Monday and Tuesday would be the Gardner hearing is going over some of the evidence. Then Wednesday, no court, so the judge would go over the evidence, then read our impact statements on Thursday and Friday. And then the week off, and my daughter, my daughter got a babysitter for the week. Anyway, so my daughter phoned the babysitter and told her to cancel the sitter for Wednesday. Then Kathleen, the Crown, came in and said that the defendant's lawyer, Charles Pettigrew's mother, had died, so she gave him empathy. So they canceled the court proceedings for the day. That was Monday. I told her, why give him empathy? He gave us none. She disagreed, and the Crown and the judge agreed with her. Of course, victims have no say in what goes on. Another wasted day. The defense lawyer is not going to argue about Connor's testimony. He testified that Reed asked him to help him kill my son. There you go. First-degree murder. He planned it. But they're still doing the plea deal. Also, Connor is going to testify that Reed wanted to kill 2 other people. So, we went home. March 10th. We got to court 10 a.m. We were told that Barton Street Jail had not sent Reed over, so we was getting here at 10:45. So we waited there, went to the court. Reed's mother came in with 8 of her friends and family. There were 3 homicide detectives, but no judge. She arrived at 10:50. One of the homicide detectives told me he knew of my complaints about the police not helping my son, and he said he would get me the forms to make a complaint to the right office. Let's see what comes of that. Okay. I can see Reed's mother's reflection in the glass of the prisoner's box. She is smiling. I like to know what is so funny. So Reed had told O'Connor he wanted to poison and stab a man named DJ and LJ, and he called one of them a half-breed. The Crown said this shows Reed is a danger to the public, so this might help keep Reed in jail longer and delay his parole. He should never get parole, ever. If they had gone for first-degree murder, he would have had no chance for parole for 25 years. Reed's lawyer was saying it should be thrown out because of some trial about a young offender. This went on for an hour and a half. Dustin's godfather, Mark, had to sit in the jury box so he can try and lip read because the court did not get a person to sign for him. So he could see Drew Reed in the prisoner's box. We got back from lunch at 2:30 p.m. The judge had lots of reading to do, they told us. Then she went on about Drew wanting to kill 2 other people. She brought up what was said, and then she sided with the Crown. I was shocked. Judge Gunn looked confused a lot of the time. So it was time for the victim statement. My daughter, Alicia, went first. She started to read. She was crying. My whole family and me were in tears. The girl doing the minutes was in tears. The Crown read Mark's victim statement and Corey's, and my wife's sisters, and my son's. Then it was my turn. I looked at Reed. He was looking down. It was heartbreaking reading it. My wife read hers. We were all in tears. The judge showed nothing. But she did say we added a change to our victims and I told her about it. They made a big deal of it. Reed's mother and friends did not care, and we got outside. Mark told me Drew Reed was smiling, and this is justice. Also, the lawyer and judge had copies of our victim's statements. So why do you have to read them? Especially in front of the animal who killed your child and his family who showed no remorse. March 11th, back in court. Reed's family was there again. 8 women, 1 man, and Drew's mother looked at us. It started off, they can't find the transcripts, very unorganized for professionals. Still, no one to sign for Mark. So I would write down what was going on so he could read it. Charles Pettigrew brought up 2 other murder cases, like 20 of them, and said that they had similarities to our case. Sure, the person was murdered. And we went over the shrink's report, piece by piece, then about the murders, his childhood, his schooling, and he wants Reed to get parole in 10 years. How just is this for him? We went through this bullshit all day. Judge Gunn said nothing. I think she has Alzheimer's. She never asked about the first responders not going to help Dustin. Everything in court was about poor Reed. He attacked my son twice and stabbed him 68 times. Screw him. We need judges that will judge, not listen to bullshit by defense lawyers. How many old murder cases will Judge Gunn listen to? There should be a cap on it, like 3. The Crown said she needed 2 hours for her evidence. The judge should be making her decision on our case, not what other judges made on theirs. Did in their cases. Charles Pettigrew talked about we're not like this case at all. He was just lining his pockets with legal aid money, and Judge Gunn does not care. We had a new girl from Victim Services, and I told her this was murder 1. She said it's hard to understand the decision that the Crown and police make. So the police had a say in this too? Isn't there a conflict of interest here when the police didn't go to help Dustin? Maybe they've got a hand in why this is being done, like the plea bargain, so that these police officers don't have to show up in court. Maybe that's why this was all done. I can't get anybody even to listen or help me. So now it's March 12th. In court, 9 a.m. Judge shows up, 9:10. Reed's lawyer starts again. His whole defense on making the length of time you have to wait to get parole. That's what he's doing. He's trying to make it as short as possible for poor Reed. He keeps bringing up old cases, and we have to sit and listen to how victims suffered. I have to write down what's going on because my son's godfather is deaf and the court still hasn't got someone to sign for him. How fair is this? We've heard 5 more cases in great detail before the Crown got a turn. The Crown is asking for 18 to 20 years to be served before he's eligible for parole. Wow, 18 to 20 years for what he did. I'm shocked. I thought they were supposed to go for maximum sentence, murder 1. He should have been charged with attempted murder for attacking him the first time. And then murder 1 for when he stabbed him all those times on the side of the road. O'Connor said Reed had a machete and 2 fixed blade knives, and he always had a knife on him. Crown is painting a different picture of Reed. Reed said death is not bothersome to him. Reed shows no remorse, and his family shows no remorse. Reed says he has memory problems and mental problems, but his mother told police that the opposite. Reed told O'Connor what he did. He also said, "Did you see the news? He was going to be famous." Drew had a cut on his hand from the fence, and he was worried that he'd left DNA on the fence when he climbed it. They said he was violent from 1 till now. At 16, he was fighting with his brother. He pushed his mother on the floor, and his ex-girlfriend said he was abusive. Crown said Reed showed no empathy for the victim or family, and since he was in jail, he had 10 fights. Crown said when Drew went after Dustin the second time on Red Hill, when a car slowed down, Reed hid. In pre-trial, the man that was driving that car said he saw someone climbing the fence on the side of the highway. Then he drove off, leaving my son there to be killed. Also, Kathleen Livingston said the police went there, but missed Dustin because he was in a ditch. It's completely flat there. There's no small area. Sounds like she's covering for her friends, the police. There was no ditch there. It's flat, and Dustin was on the side of the road. You could see him on the left side of the road. Then the Crown was talking about the stab wounds and how Dustin told Reed he was dying, and Reed said, "You don't let an animal suffer." And then he stabbed him again. Reed's mother smiled. And this is justice for the victims? I'm still waiting for it. The judge is looking at pictures of all the 68 stab wounds and talking about after Reed left Dustin, he met O'Connor at the baseball diamond. O'Connor brought him clean clothes, and he went to O'Connor's to shower. And then he washed his clothes and put the knife in a sewer. So why was O'Connor not charged with accessory before and after the fact? Why? It just makes me just shocking how this went down. Everybody seemed to get a break on this, eh? All but my son. He didn't get a break. But again, I guess there never is any breaks for the freaking victims when they're being killed. Now, Crown was talking about impact statements, how no family should go through so much pain. I don't believe that the judge cared. Also, the Crown said Drew Reed never said why he killed my son, and they talked about murder cases where they got 25 years before parole. Also, Crown said this is approaching first-degree murder. If this isn't first-degree murder, what is? What is? I don't know how much more evidence they would have needed. This was first-degree murder as far as I'm concerned. So, we were down the hall from the Crown's room when we heard, some people laughing out loud. When they came around the corner, it was Kathleen Livingston, the Crown, her husband, and 3 homicide detectives. So, they are all friends. Nice to know they help each other out, right? So was this plea deal done so the police don't have to show up for court? If it was murder 1, they would have had to be there, and they would not be eligible for parole for 25 years. Okay, now it's Friday, March the 13th. We went to court again, 10 a.m. We listened to Reed's lawyer question what the Crown said Thursday. But they had 2 people to sign for Mark, finally, the last day. The Crown did their final arguments. We also gave Judge Gunn a picture of Dustin's daughter, who is 4 years old. We went for lunch 2.5 hours, so the judge could go over what was said. Then we got back at 2:30, then the judge started on her submission. I don't know, it was 2:30 or 3:30. On her submission for sentencing. Yeah, it's so cold down here, my fingers are getting numb. Sentencing. Okay, here we go. Judge says that this is approaching on first-degree murder. Wow. She finally said something, but didn't help, did it? Finally approaching on first-degree murder? I'd like to know what she would think first-degree murder was. She said Reed is a dangerous man, and he never gave a reason why he did it. She said it was horrific, and he could have stopped, but did not. She said Dustin thought Drew was his friend, and he killed him. Reed showed no remorse through all of this. The judge went through the evidence, Reed's lawyer and Crown said. then gave her opinion. The judge said if this had gone to trial, it would have been lengthy. Why, was this also done so it was like shorter too and easier on them to let this murderer get leniency? There is something wrong. Like, I thought everybody was supposed to go for maximum sentence for murders, not be as lenient as possible here. I don't care. I don't care. This was first degree. I don't care. This was first degree murder. So now some other defense lawyer will use this as a sentence to get his client a lighter sentence. Of course they will. We already went through this. They go through other murder trials. He got 18 years before he can get paroled, minus 4 years almost already served. 14 years. 14 years. He has to be a young man if he gets out on parole. 14 years. Okay, so he will be 36 years old when he can ask for parole, and my son will still be dead. How just is that? And my son is still here. Okay. So this is John Dustin's father, and this was what went down at Plee bargen, at the Plee bargen. So for anybody that has to go through a nightmare of this, watch this and learn so you know how bad this is going to be. And I hope this never, ever happens to anybody else. And it should never have happened to us.